Hey everybody, it's Rich here with Brotherhood Reviews, and this is going to be a chapter 1018 of One Piece discussion, and I wanted to go over the sun god Nika. So there's been a lot of talk around YouTube and everywhere about this deity that we just found out, sun god Nika. And I want to just go off by saying first, religion in One Piece has always been a big thing. Almost, I wouldn't say every arc, but in some way, a religion is brought up, or if somebody's doing something for religious reasons. But this specific entity was mainly brought up originally in Skypiea. A lot of people have been bringing this up, how the Shindarians worship the sun god also with the earth, the water, and I think the air as well. I don't want to get into all the other gods. We're speaking about the sun god. So that's just one god that they, of many. And also you got to think about it too, like all religions have different ways that they go about worship. So the Shindarians were a sacrificial religion. So they sacrificed animals, people, to their gods in order to pay tribute to their gods. So that's one way. Now, also Lady Carmel, when we got Big Mom's backstory, also mentioned the sun god on Elbaf. So we know for a fact that they both worship a sun god. And, it may be the same god, it may be different. They just may worship it in two separate ways. Now, this is very important in my opinion because we're essentially getting this information that these two civilizations that we know for a fact that have been around since pre-Void Century, and that they've been involved with the world government pre-Void Century, that this, makes it more of a head scratcher in a way, because it's like, all right, there's these two sun gods. We know for a fact that the Shindarians was a sacrificial religion because they sacrificed, they were about to sacrifice somebody when we got Nolan's flashback, and it happened to be the chief's, the head warrior, because I don't think he was the chief. I think he was just the head warrior. His daughter. So, and from what we got from Big Mom's backstory, that it's just somebody that they pray to. We never really got any more detail onto how specific they pray, but the way that Lady Carmel was pretty much trying to save Big Mom's life, because that was the whole thing. They were trying to exile her, and she wasn't trying to have that. She was like, no, for her own underhanded reasons. But she said, the sun god this. So obviously you could tell that they're obviously two different, because one was sacrificial. So like killing somebody for their god is one thing, but saving somebody for their god is another. You know what I mean? So I don't want to get too much into that, but I just wanted to show, explain to you guys the difference of, gods and worship. So, even though it may seem like the same god, they may worship them differently. Now we go into what Who's Who was saying to Jinbei. Who's Who was pretty much telling Jinbei, you know, when I was in prison, I was locked up and I was told a story about you know, a story that slaves used to tell each other. And it was a story about their savior. And the savior wasn't just, you know, he wasn't just a regular person. He was considered a god, and they called him Sun God Nika. And he was supposed to rain down sunshine and free the slaves from their captivity. And, you know, Jinbei was pissed, so he put him in the dirt after that. But somebody pointed out to me, and when I looked back at the panel, you could see that there was like little exclamation points and it kind of like you could see in Jinbei's eyes like something triggered him when he said Sun God Nika. So, or, you know, it could be like the fact that he was like, we're all fishermen, slaves at one point. That could have triggered him too. He could not know anything. But with who's saying is, you know, he was, you know, on the Sun Pirates, who, you know, Sun Pirates, maybe they got their name not only because they were fishermen, but that could be like a story that was passed around for years, or you know, somebody that they freed, because the Sun Pirates were a whole bunch of freed slaves plus fishermen. He could have heard it through one of them. Now, after that, you know, Jinbei's probably not going to give him any more information, but I hope we do get a little bit more information in the next chapter. So, now I want you guys to really think about this. So, what we know about the sun gods in One Piece. Two out of the three oldest countries or islands, or yeah, I would say, so three of the oldest countries, we know for a fact that two of them definitely worship a sun god. So we know that worshiping sun gods and water gods, earth gods, and all that, that is probably the two oldest religions in One Piece. Probably. This is all speculation, guys. So with that being said, like all religions, everything gets twisted in a way. So let me bring something to your attention. Now, this deity that we were introduced to was called Sun God Nika. So I looked up Nika, the word Nika. Nika is a female given name that has multiple origins in different languages and countries. Now, in Slavic countries, the name comes from ancient Greek goddess Nike. Now, I haven't really heard any other YouTuber, anybody talk about this yet. They really haven't found this god, which is weird because I play Smite, so I knew about Nike and I assumed that it was about Nike. So for you guys who don't know about the Greek goddess Nike, Nike is the goddess of victory. So she is very close with Athena and Zeus. Pretty much when the Olympians were gonna do the Olympics, pretty much, because that's the Olympics are based off of. The Greek gods used to have like these battles and games and stuff that they would play amongst each other, and Nike was the goddess who rained down victory and brought light upon the winners. So with that being said, the sun god Nika is supposed to rain down with brightness. It was supposed to bring them victory. It's supposed to bring them the riches of freedom. So you see the correlation. That's I'm just so happy. Like, I'm the first person to make this correlation. So, all right. So, yeah, that's pretty much it about Nike. So the god. So if now let's get into what if Luffy is this god. And it's pretty much true. If you really think about every battle he's had, he has brought everybody peace, freedom, in every sense of the way, and he hasn't stopped yet. So for him to be considered this sun god is not too far-fetched. And also, I think it's just a title, and it's not an actual, like, reincarnation type of deal like in Naruto. I don't think it's a reincarnation. I just think it's a title that is given because, like I was saying before, and like it was said, slaves used to say this. And just like Who's Who was telling Jinbei, most slaves were fishermen. So I think what was happening was when the fishermen were getting enslaved, they had Joy Boy, right? And Joy Boy was technically their savior, their version of God, their person to bring them light. Now, we have all these versions of the sun god with, with the giants in Elbeth, with the Shandorians. Who knows, back then, people in Alabasta might have believed in the sun god. It's sun, it's the desert. There's sun everywhere. And it's, so like, so there's multiple ways of these two things fusing, because also if you really go deep into it, the goddess Nike in Greek mythology is the equivalent to the god Victoria in Roman mythology. So you just cross that border, and it's the same god, different names, but they're the god of the same exact thing. So I'm thinking, when the fishermen and everybody were first getting enslaved, and the people that were trying to revolt against the world government, and the countries that weren't trying to be down with the world government, and people were getting arrested and enslaved and captured, and they brought them all together. And the processing, some were probably in camps, some were probably like in camps like in Wano. When Luffy got arrested, you saw like everybody was like pretty much mining, because they were in jail pretty much. So and then Impound Down was, you see how Impound Down was, certain floors people could walk around and see each other. So other floors, everybody was in cages, depending on where you're at, you can interact with different people. So with that, you can just see how conversations build. And if I'm in jail with somebody for the rest of my life, yeah, we're going to get to know each other. It's like working at a job. You know, obviously I get to go home after I'm done working. But like, you know, even though when I first start a new job, I don't know anybody, so obviously I'm not going to talk with anybody. But after being there for a month, 2 months, a year, 2 years, you're going to start conversating with people. You're going to start getting to know people. So if I'm a fisherman and I'm telling them this story about Joy Boy, and then it's a giant talking to a fisherman. The fisherman's telling the giant about Joy Boy, and the giant's telling him like, oh, that sounds like our sun god. And you know, and as time goes on, the two start merging. Somebody that that doesn't have a religion, or is from a place that their religion is completely different, they keep hearing about this savior, but then it gets lost in translation because all you remember is like, oh, it's a person, he's supposed to bring people to light, and he's a god, so it's a mixture of everything. And then over time, you forget the name, so you find a name that represents the meaning of what that God is supposed to bring you. So like Nika is a name given to somebody that is supposed to be based off the God's name Nike, who is the God of victory, which gives us the full aspect of this religious cliffhanger that Oda gave us at the end of this chapter. But thank you guys. I hope this helps you in a better understanding of the sun god Nika. I'm surprised no other YouTuber put the connection to Nika and Nike together. But I hope you guys are having a great day, time, or night, whatever time you're listening to this. Thank you guys so much for the support. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you.